Ava Carter and I were married for 50 years, the kind of model couple everyone envied. On the day of our golden anniversary, an earthquake hit. When the ceiling collapsed, she didn't hesitate for a second, throwing her body over mine to shield me. When the rescue team found us, she was a mangled mess of flesh and blood, her body long gone cold. But me? I was tucked safely beneath her small frame, with nothing more than a scratch on my arm. Everyone wept, moved by the depth of her love for me. What none of them knew was that in her final moments, she was clutching a necklace she'd never had the chance to give away. She'd whispered two things. The first was, "Ethan, next time, don't choose me." And the second, "Leo, I can finally come find you." I slipped my wedding ring from my finger and closed my eyes. When I opened them again, I was back on the day my father tried to force me to marry the recluse from Bridgewater. He stared at me, his face contorted with rage. "Do you have to fight your brother for the woman he loves?" Leo Vance stood to the side, his eyes glistening. "Ethan, Ava and I are in love. It's real." Hearing his words, I laughed. I slowly slid the family heirloom, a vintage watch the Carters only passed to their sons-in-law, from my wrist and held it out to Leo. "The wedding is in 3 days. You marry Ava." I looked back at my father. "I'll marry Chloe Monroe." "Ava, just as you wished. This time, I'm not choosing you." "1 foot, bro, are you serious? You're really going to let me have Ava? You'll marry that shut in?" Leo asked, eagerly sliding the heavy watch onto his own wrist. My father, Warren Hayes, eyed me with suspicion. "Ethan, you're not pulling some kind of stunt, are you?" The crystal of the watch on Leo's wrist gleamed under the light. My eyes burned, but I managed to smile. "Don't worry, I won't back out." I added one condition. "Just don't let Ava know ahead of time." Warren and Leo were thrilled and agreed instantly. I turned and walked back to my room. Consider it one last surprise for me. In 3 days, I would be gone from this place for good, and Ava would finally get her wish. My room was a museum of gifts from Ava, collected over the years. For my 8th birthday, a drawing of the two of us holding hands. When I got into a car accident at 15, she'd stayed up for nights folding 1,000 paper cranes, a handwritten wish for me tucked inside each one. And then there was the watch she gave me when I graduated college at 21, a symbol of our engagement. It was now on the wrist of the man she truly loved. I packed everything, piece by piece, into a cardboard box, sealing the memories away with them. I hauled the box out to the dumpster at the end of the driveway. When I came back, I saw Ava standing in the yard. The memory of her shielding me with her last breath made my throat tighten. She was staring blankly toward Leo's bedroom window. As I got closer, I smelled the alcohol on her breath and saw the redness in her eyes. I realized some things needed to be said. It was time to tell her the truth. "I'm sorry. I lied to you back then." Her head snapped toward me. "Ava," I said, my voice steady. "The truth is, Leo has always been in love with you. I was a Hayes. She was a Carter. We were from the right families, a perfect match, engaged since we were kids. That was until my father brought Leo home, the son of his first love. Unlike me, the resident rebel, Leo was quiet and agreeable. Everyone adored him. My father, Warren, poured all his guilt over his past love into Leo, eventually adopting him. Ava was drawn to him, too. She even considered breaking off our engagement. After a family dinner one night, I could tell she was about to bring it up, so I played her a voice memo, one I had carefully edited. I don't like intense girls like Ava. The color drained from her face. She never mentioned the engagement again. But this time, I played her the full recording. I don't like intense girls, but if it's Ava, then I like it. Her hand trembled as she took my phone, her eyes welling with tears. The clip was only 8 seconds long, but she must have listened to it 100 times. Seeing her like that, a dull ache spread through my chest. In our 50 years of marriage, she never had any patience for me, rarely letting me finish a sentence. But for Leo, she could listen to the same 8 seconds on a loop. Her patience was reserved for him. After what felt like an eternity, she finally spoke, her voice raw. "It's my fault I found out too late in my past life. I couldn't stop any of it." Suddenly, her hand shot out and gripped the collar of my shirt, her eyes burning with a new hatred. "Why did you lie to me last time?" she seethed. "If it wasn't for you, Leo never would have been forced to marry that recluse. He wouldn't have been tortured by that marriage, gotten depressed, and killed himself." Till my body went rigid. So, she already knew. No wonder she'd grown so cold and distant in her last life. She knew I had deceived her. She hated me for keeping them apart. And now, she had been reborn too. "It wasn't for nothing," she continued, her voice gaining a chilling strength. "All those years I spent visiting every church, every temple, every shrine that people said could work miracles. I wrote Leo's name in every prayer book I could find, just for the chance to do it all over again. Her gaze was resolute. This time, I will protect him with everything I have. In our past life, she was always making excuses to not come home. I would follow her quietly. I saw her praying for Leo with a desperate fervor, and the sight of it felt like a fist clenching around my heart. It became a kind of self-torture. I kept following her, watching her cry for him, plead for him with a higher power. I just couldn't let go. I hated Leo for stealing her heart, the latecomer winning the prize. And I hated Ava for changing so easily. But when she died protecting me while thinking of him, something in me finally broke. This time, I would give her what she wanted. I didn't say another word. I just turned and left. The next morning, I walked out of my bedroom to find Ava standing downstairs, looking exhausted. She had been there all night. Just as I was about to go down, Leo emerged from his room. The moment she saw him, the dullness in her eyes vanished, replaced by a radiant light. She rushed to him, her hand instinctively cupping his face. Leo. Tears streamed down her cheeks before she could say more. "Don't worry," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I won't let you be thrown to the Monroes. I won't let you fall into that pit. I'll go talk to Warren. I'll beg him. And if he's afraid of the Monroe family's power, my family, the Carters, will take full responsibility." With that, she turned to race upstairs. I stepped in front of her. "The old man will never agree to it. A Hayes-Monroe merger is the fastest way for his company to pivot." I didn't get to finish. A sharp crack echoed in the hall as her hand connected with my cheek. Her ring cut my skin, drawing a line of blood. The corner of my mouth split. "Ethan Hayes," she screamed. "Is profit the only thing you see? If that's the case, why don't you marry the Monroe girl? Why are you forcing Leo to do it? Don't you forget, you're the real son of this family. This should be your responsibility." The air went still. After a few seconds, I raised a hand and wiped the blood from my lip. I forced down the bitterness rising in my throat and said in a mock-joking tone, "Fine, I'll marry her." Ava froze, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. Just then, Leo's wounded voice drifted over. "Ava," she snapped back to reality, realizing her words had hurt him. "Leo, I didn't mean it like that." Leo turned and ran out of the house. Before he left, he shot me a look filled with resentment. He'd always felt like an outsider living on charity in our house, and her words had just confirmed it. Ava didn't hesitate for a second. She ran after him. Only after they were gone did the sharp, stinging pain in my cheek register. I leaned against the wall on the staircase, and a single, hot tear slid down my face. My whisper was lost in the empty space. "You forgot all your promises to me." In college, Ava had been cornered by a group of thugs. I jumped in to save her and ended up with 3 broken ribs. When they wheeled me out of the emergency room, she clung to me, sobbing, "Ethan, I'll never let you get hurt again. Not ever." But now, the mark she'd left on my face was impossible to miss. I turned to go back to my room, but my father came out of his study. He saw my face and frowned. "Look at you. You don't have an ounce of the dignity a Hayes should have." I gave him a cynical look. "Oh, so I'm a Hayes now? I was starting to think Leo was your only son." Warren's face flushed with anger. "The Monroe family has deep connections. What's so bad about you marrying her? Leo is gentle and kind," he continued, his voice softening. "He knows the Carter family well. Marrying into it, he'll be treated right." I let out a cold laugh. "Dad, what do you think Mom would say if she were still alive? If she saw you scheming against your own son for the sake of your first love's child, would she regret helping you build this company from the ground up?" Without waiting for his furious reply, I turned my back on him and went into my room. Looking at the cut on my face, I gave a bitter smile. 2 more days. That's all. I slapped a bandage on it and stepped into the shower. When I came out, Ava was sitting on my bed. Her eyes darted away from my bare chest as she held up a small paper bag. "I bought you some antiseptic." I noticed her hair was damp. She'd gone out in the rain to get it. I threw on a shirt and handed her a towel. She wiped her hair distractedly, then started dabbing at the cut on my cheek. She must have seen me wince because she started blowing softly on the wound. "Hold still. It'll be over in a second." I met her eyes. "Ava," I said slowly, "you love him that much, don't you? So how about this? I'll marry the recluse from the Monroe family, and he can marry you." Her hand, which had been packing away the supplies, paused. Her voice was grave. "Ethan, don't say things like that, even as a joke. You won't marry her. I know you're upset that I care about Leo," she said, her voice softening slightly. "But everything I'm doing is to save his life. He's not like you. He doesn't have the Hayes family to back him up. He has no one. He's completely vulnerable. Even if I can't stop this wedding, I'll find a way to get him out of it later." Her words were like tiny needles pricking at my heart. She saw Leo, as this poor, pitiful soul, but she'd forgotten that ever since my mom died, I was the one who was pushed aside, the one constantly criticized. Even my own father despised me, treating Leo 1,000 times better than he ever treated me. Suddenly, she grabbed my wrist. "Where's the watch I gave you? You never take it off." I froze for a second before forcing a smile. I decided it was too valuable to wear every day. I put away for safekeeping. I quickly changed the subject. "Ava, you haven't forgotten my birthday is tomorrow, have you?" She hesitated. I knew she had. In our last life, she'd been so consumed with praying for Leo that she hadn't celebrated my birthday with me in years. I forced another smile. "Let's go to the amusement park tomorrow. We haven't been in a long time." She paused for a moment, then nodded. "Okay." The amusement park was where she first told me she loved me. I had been planning to be the one to confess, the guy making the first move. But she had prepared a surprise for me, telling me, my guy has to be different from everyone else. I wanted our story to end where it began. The next day, I got to the park early, only to see Ava show up with Leo. She looked uncomfortable. "Leo said he's never been, so I brought him along," she explained. A bitter sting filled my eyes, and for a moment, I didn't know what to say. The silence was heavy. Ava broke it first. "I'll go get us some water. You two figure out what you want to ride." The last thing I wanted was to be alone with Leo, so I walked straight to the nearest roller coaster. I never actually liked thrill rides, but Ava loved them, so I learned to love them too. The breakneck speed was a temporary escape from everything else. When I got off the ride, Ava stormed over, her eyes blazing red, and grabbed me by the collar. "Leo is terrified of heights. Why would you force him to go on something so dangerous?" I glanced over at Leo, who was pale and trembling. "I didn't ask him to come with me. I have no idea why he's like this." Her hand flew, and she slapped me again, right across the still healing cut. "Ethan, I told you I'm just trying to save him. Why can't you just leave him alone?" This was the second time she'd hit me. The cut on my cheek was now an angry, swollen welt. I clenched my fists, the bitterness in my chest expanding until I could barely breathe. She didn't believe me. Just then, Leo's weak voice called out. "Ava, for it's my fault," he rasped. "Don't blame my brother." And with that, he collapsed. Ava rushed to his side, helping him up, ready to take him to the hospital. Before she left, she glared at me, her voice dripping with venom. "If anything happens to Leo, I will never forgive you." I watched them go, my vision blurring with tears. I always thought it was pathetic for a grown man to cry, but when it came to Ava, I couldn't seem to stop. I spent the rest of the day at the amusement park by myself. With 15 minutes left until midnight, I got on the Ferris wheel alone. This was where we had our first kiss. I could see how nervous she was back then, but she tried to act tough. "Ethan Hayes," she'd said, "you're mine now. For the rest of our lives, we can only love each other." But now, the one who said those words was the one who had forgotten them. When the cabin reached the very top, the clock struck midnight. I whispered into the empty air, "Ava Carter, I hope you get everything you ever wanted." I returned home, exhausted. The moment I opened the door, something hard slammed into my back, and I crumpled to the floor. It was my father, Warren. "You worthless son," he snarled. "Are you trying to kill Leo?" I saw Leo leaning against Ava, looking pale and fragile. Warren raised the heavy wooden cane again. "Today, I'm going to beat some sense into you." I gritted my teeth. It wasn't me. He took it as defiance. The cane came down again, and I coughed up a mouthful of blood. Ava just frowned slightly, saying nothing. In that moment, my heart felt like it was being plunged into ice-cold, salty water, sinking deeper and deeper. The blows fell one after another, until I didn't even have the strength to open my eyes. Finally, Ava stood up. "Uncle Warren, that's enough. The wedding is tomorrow. If you keep going, he won't be able to stand." Warren finally stopped. Ava helped me up and onto the sofa. He was still breathing heavily when he spoke. What Ava said reminded me. "Leo can't go to the Monroe family without some leverage. I've decided to give half of your shares in the company to Leo." My head snapped up in shock. Ava wanted to use my inheritance to prop up Leo. And Warren, knowing full well I was the one marrying into the Monroe family, went along with it. "Those were my mother's," I said, my voice shaking with rage. "He has no right to them." Leo put on his innocent, wounded act again. "Uncle Warren, Ethan is right. I'm not a Hayes. I don't have a right." He looked more and more pitiful, tears welling in his eyes. But I could see the cold calculation underneath it all. Warren's voice was firm, leaving no room for argument. "I'm the chairman of Hayes Industries. I say you have them. You have them. Don't be afraid, Leo." What a touching scene of fatherly love. Remembering the unread codicil in my mother's will, I looked at Warren. "I hope you don't regret this." He just waved a dismissive hand. "The wedding is tomorrow. Let's leave it at that." I stared at him with cold eyes. As I pushed myself up, Ava reached out to help me, but I flinched away. She froze, her hand hovering in the air, and let out a small, unconscious sigh. On the day of the wedding, Ava was hidden under her veil. She let go of Leo's hand. "Ethan, wait for me. I'm just going to see Leo off." Before Leo could say anything, she was at my side. She couldn't see my face through the veil. The memory of her in a wedding dress in our past life made my eyes burn. She pressed a small box into my hand. I opened it. It was the necklace she had wanted to give Leo in our past life. "Leo," she whispered, thinking I was him, "don't be scared. I'll come get you out of there soon. You have to wait for me. Please, don't do anything drastic." She repeated it over and over. "Leo, you have to wait for me. I won't abandon you." I pulled her into one last hug and secretly passed the necklace to the maid of honor standing behind her. I mouthed the words, "Don't tell her." Then, without any hesitation, I got into the car. As the car pulled away, I watched her figure shrink in the distance. "It's over." The familiar feel of the hug made her freeze. A second later, she raised her hands and lifted the veil. 5-foot Ava. Warren appeared at her side. "It's time. Let's not delay." Her hand stopped. She shook her head. It couldn't be Ethan. He was waiting at the altar to marry her. The world under the veil was a hazy, romantic red. Ava was escorted down the aisle, step by step, toward the man she believed was Ethan Hayes. Her palms were sweating, not from anticipation, but from a strange, gnawing anxiety. That brief hug, that nearly inaudible sigh, it all carried an eerie familiarity that coiled around her heart. "Ethan," she whispered again to the man beside her, trying to quell her unease. The man didn't respond, but his arms seemed to stiffen. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of the vintage watch on his wrist. It was the one she had given me, the one she knew I treasured and would never give away. The thought instantly calmed her. Once at the venue, she changed into her wedding gown. Staring at her reflection, she thought back to our wedding in the past life. It hadn't been a happy occasion. Her mind had been entirely consumed with thoughts of Leo. My edited voice memo had been a leash on her impulses. She was angry at Leo, and our long-standing engagement became a ceremony of spite. She had even carelessly lost the custom-made wedding rings I'd flown to Italy to have designed. We ended up using cheap temporary rings for the ceremony. She had seen the disappointment in my eyes, but had pretended not to notice. Back then, her heart was full of Leo. After being reborn, she had new rings specially made, engraved with both our names. She found herself, surprisingly, looking forward to our wedding. She looked at the ring box and whispered, "Ethan Hayes, let's make it work this time." The ceremony began. She walked down the aisle on her father's arm. The man standing at the other end of the red carpet had his back to her, and he felt like a stranger. The anxiety in her heart grew with every step. As she drew closer, the man with his back to her turned around. Her eyes flew wide. It wasn't the Ethan Hayes she expected to see, his face a mask of complicated emotions. It was Leo Vance. A roar filled her ears, like thunder exploding next to her head. Ava's mind went completely blank. Forgetting all decorum, she grabbed Leo's arm. "Leo, what are you doing here?" Her voice was a shrill, incredulous shriek. "Why are you in this suit? Where's Ethan? Where is he?" Leo, startled by her outburst, took a step back, his face a picture of confusion and hurt. "Ava, I'm your groom today." A cold, terrifying thought seized Ava's heart, making it nearly impossible to breathe. She grabbed his arms again, her nails digging into his flesh. "Then where is Ethan Hayes?" "Ethan, he went to the Monroe family." Leo's voice was choked with tears. "Ava, I'm so scared. That Monroe girl, she's a recluse, a shut-in. They say she's strange and volatile." Ava couldn't hear the rest. "Went to the Monroe family." Ethan went to the Monroes in Leo's place. The man she thought would stand by coldly, maybe even feel a little relieved to be free of her, his burden. The man she had just slapped twice and hated for his cruelty. That man had, without a single word, jumped into the very fire pit she had been so desperate to save her beloved Leo from. Why? What was he thinking? Why was this time different from the last? After the initial wave of shock and confusion, a single, horrifying realization washed over her. He was reborn, too. She finally understood. My decision this time was to let her go. She sank to the floor, burying her face in her hands, her body racked with sobs. How could this happen? Why doesn't he want me anymore? Since her rebirth, she had been singularly focused on saving Leo, the man she saw as gentle, innocent, and wronged by fate. She had never once considered that I, the one who seemed to have everything, the one who was always so arrogant and domineering, might have been the one who was truly abandoned and hurt the most. Her maid of honor stepped forward, holding out the necklace. Ava, Ethan asked me to give this to you. He said the owner of this necklace isn't him. He said, he wishes you happiness. Ah. A tearing pain ripped through her chest. Ava shoved Leo away and scrambled to her feet, stumbling out the door. The hem of her gown caught on her heel, and she nearly fell. She ripped the delicate fabric away and ran like a madwoman. Leo grabbed her arm, his voice frantic. Ava, where are you going? This is our wedding. Ava screamed back, tears streaming down her face. This was supposed to be my wedding with him. Her voice was raw with despair. I have to find Ethan. Even though I was reborn, even though there were so many things I wanted to change, there was one thing I never, ever wanted to change, and that was my groom. My husband is Ethan Hayes. Only him. She couldn't let him stay with the Monroes. It was a pit of fire, the very place she had sworn her beloved would never go. And now, she had been the one to push me in. With her resentment, her prejudice, her blindness. Leo stood frozen, stunned by her words. What about me? Ava, what am I to you? But it was as if she couldn't hear him. She tore her arm from his grasp. Leo gave a bitter, quiet laugh. So, in the end, I'm still the one nobody loves. He took off the tuxedo jacket and walked away, a lost and broken figure. The wedding guests stared in stunned silence, completely bewildered. Ava ran outside and frantically dialed my number. Ethan, pick up, please pick up. Each call went straight to voicemail. A hollow panic clawed at her insides. The drive to Bridgewater took 3 hours. The injuries from the past few days, combined with the sheer emotional exhaustion, pulled me into a deep sleep. I dreamed of my past life, and this one, a tangled mess of memories with Ava. As the car pulled up to the wedding venue, a single tear escaped my eye. I never realized how much of a crybaby I was. I guess living a long life makes you sentimental. I straightened my suit and got out of the car. A woman in a wedding dress stood waiting. When she saw me, her face lit up with a genuine smile. Hello there, my husband. Ethan Hayes. This was Chloe Monroe. Weren't the rumors that she was a reclusive, shut-in, that she was volatile and strange? How could that be this radiant, smiling woman? And her eyes, they were perfectly fine. I hesitated. You're Chloe Monroe? She nodded and walked over, linking her arm through mine. I'll explain later. Right now, we have a wedding to get to. I followed her inside, where the guests were already seated. Their faces were full of sincere blessings, but not a single one of them was family. If my mom were still alive, she would have patted my shoulder and said, my son is the most handsome groom in the world. Chloe seemed to sense my melancholy. She squeezed my hand. Ethan Hayes, you won't be alone anymore. I'll always be with you. She spoke as if she knew me completely, and I found that I didn't feel the resistance to this marriage that I had expected. After it was all over, we were in our new home. Chloe handed me a glass of milk. Ethan, I'm sure you have a lot of questions. She gave me a playful smile. Don't worry. I'm here to answer them. 7. She leaned in close, her eyes searching mine. Ethan, do you really not remember me? I shook my head. A flicker of disappointment crossed her face, but it was gone in an instant. It's okay. I'll tell you. Years ago, you saved Ava Carter when she was cornered by some thugs. Do you remember if there was anyone else there? I paused, thinking back. I had a vague memory of another girl at the scene, but my attention had been entirely on Ava. I hadn't paid her any mind. That was me, she said softly. My dress was torn, and you gave me your jacket to cover up. Later, I found out who you were, a Hayes, engaged to Ava Carter. I thought, if you were happy with her, I shouldn't interfere. But then, I found out you weren't happy. I couldn't stand it anymore. I had my father propose a business merger and marriage alliance with the Hayes family. I intentionally spread rumors about myself, making me sound as awful as possible. Knowing Warren Hayes and how he feels about you, I knew he would force you to marry me instead of Leo. He would never sacrifice his precious Leo. And just as I planned, you were the one who came to marry me today. I was speechless, stunned by the truth. If I hadn't been so obsessed with Ava in my past life, Chloe's plan would have worked then, too. I had been so stubborn, even threatening to kill myself. And, in the end, no one got a happy ending. Thank God I had finally seen clearly this time. I looked at Chloe. Actually, I should be thanking you. Her expression grew anxious. You're not going to annul the marriage, are you? I smiled. Don't worry. You're my wife now. I have no regrets. I just wanted to thank you. Since my mother died, no one has cared about me like this. I just have to know. I asked what would have happened if Leo had been the one to marry you today. She took my hand in hers. What do you think would have happened? I would never let anyone who hurt you have an easy life. No matter what you want to do, I'll never let go of your hand. In my heart, you always come first. So, in our past life, it was her who had made Leo's life hell. For my sake. Just then, Chloe's phone rang. It was Warren Hayes. My expression turned to ice. It seems the lawyers have contacted him. I'll take it. I answered the call, my voice cold. What do you want? Ethan. After confirming it was me, his tone became vicious. You bastard. You used your mother's will to set a trap for me. I'm your father. The irony was laughable. My mother had drawn up her will in secret, never trusting him. She had known for years that his heart wasn't with her, but she'd always held onto a sliver of hope. The will stipulated that if he treated me well and didn't touch my inheritance, her shares would be split evenly between us. But if he ever acted against my interests, all of her shares would go directly to me. And that would make me the majority shareholder of Hayes Industries, untouchable. The moment he signed over my shares to Leo, he signed away his control of the company. Dad, I said with mock sympathy, I did try to warn you. You were the one who insisted on it. Just because I agreed to swap places with Leo doesn't mean I'll tolerate everything you do. Hayes Industries was my mother's life's work. I won't let it fall into the hands of an outsider. I now hold 65% of the company's stock. You should probably start packing your things. You and Leo. As for those shares, as long as I don't approve the transfer, he'll never get them. He and Ava are married now. He'll be well taken care of. You don't have to worry about him. But as for Hayes Industries, your time there is over. Warren exploded into a stream of curses. You little snake, you planned this all along. Because of you, Ava and Leo never even got married. You set this whole thing up from the beginning, didn't you? His words stunned me. Ava didn't get married? But wasn't this everything she wanted? Suddenly, there was a commotion outside. The Monroe family's butler rushed in. Miss Chloe, that young lady from the Carter family, is here. She says she won't leave until she sees Mr. Hayes. I looked at Chloe. I should go see her. We need to clear the air. It's time to finally put an end. I looked at Chloe. I should go see her. We need to clear the air. It's time to finally put an end to this. I saw the worry in her eyes. I smiled reassuringly. Don't worry. When I get back, you can show me around Bridgewater. She relaxed. The moment she saw me, Ava grabbed my arm, trying to pull me away. You can't stay here. When she realized I wasn't moving, she turned to me, her eyes wide with disbelief. Ethan, are you insane? Don't tell me you're planning to stay here. I looked at her calmly. I am. I'm staying here. Ava, there's nothing between us anymore. Tears instantly flooded her eyes. Ethan, I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you like that. In our last life, and in this one, I hurt you. I ignored you. But you can't stay here. You really can't. You'll die. I just looked at her. I won't die. Chloe wanted to marry me from the very beginning. Ava, you didn't do anything wrong. I was never really angry with you. Because in our past life, Leo really did die because of me. I hated Warren for breaking my mother's heart, for being a selfish bastard. And I hated Leo because his arrival took everything that was supposed to be mine. But because of me, he died. I think I hated you too, for a while. Because you forgot every promise we ever made. Because you fell for him. But I don't hate you now. When it came down to life and death, you saved me. A past life, and this one. 2 lifetimes of being tangled together. I'm tired. Now Leo is safe. And you know the truth about how he felt. This is how it should have ended last time. Everything is finally back on its proper course. Let's just leave it at that. Ava's voice rose to a desperate shout. Ethan, you do hate me. But in our past life, didn't I live a good life with you? I just couldn't bear to see Leo die. I never, ever wanted to leave you. I spoke softly. Let's just say it was my fault. If I hadn't lied to you, if I hadn't been so stubborn, you and Leo would have had a beautiful ending. Ava, you did think about leaving me. I overheard you talking to your friends in college. You said you were falling for Leo, and you wished you weren't engaged to me. I knew you had changed then, but I still tried desperately to hold on to you, and that's what led to everything that came after. Last time, you saved my life. This time, I'm giving you back the man you love. Let's call it even. You said that in the next life, I shouldn't choose you. So, the moment we started over, our ending was already written. I turned to go back inside. Ava's heartbroken cry followed me. Ethan, are you really going to leave me? I smiled without looking back. Ava Carter, this time, I'm letting go of your hand. Then, I walked away and didn't look back, leaving her to her collapsing world. 3 months later, I returned to Northwood. The transition at Hayes Industries was complete. I was now the chairman and CEO. Warren Hayes, after suffering a stress-induced cerebral hemorrhage, was discharged from the hospital and sent to a long-term care facility. Leo and Ava did not end up together. The day Ava returned to Northwood, Leo decided to leave. At the end of the day, he was an insecure person. He thought he could finally have Ava's love, only to discover that she didn't love him as much as he, or she, had thought. As for Ava, she never bothered me again. She often found herself lost in memories of us, the little details she had once overlooked now shining like treasures in her mind. She finally understood that what she had been chasing was nothing but a fantasy. The real treasure had been pushed away by her own hands. Chloe was wonderful to me. A year later, we had a child. On the day of our baby's christening, I received an anonymous gift, a small, engraved silver locket. In that moment, I knew Ava had finally found peace too. Perhaps we all get trapped by our own obsessions at some point. But luckily, we always have the chance to find our way out. I pulled Chloe closer and kissed her forehead. Thank you.